some rather incredible people that live on this planet, but every once in a while we discover someone utterly extraordinary. Today we're going to look at people you won't believe exist. One, because it might be just the weirdest thing you'll see today. Number 1, man with the longest neck. Today's photo took me a while to research, so without further ado, let's just delve into it. You can see the man with what has to be the longest neck you've ever seen. There have been a few cases of people with abnormally long necks, but as you've probably figured out by now, this photo is manipulated. It's a screenshot from the video titled "Man with the Longest Neck in the World Works Out" shot of a man's head. He talks about some kind of accident and, rather enthusiastically, proclaims that he's found an expert that can help him. Then his other self shows up, and we can finally see the long neck from the photo. You certainly don't have to be a genius to figure out the fakeness of it all. Which one of these amazing individuals did you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comments below. Number 2, Victoria Wright. Victoria Wright from England suffers from cherubism, a condition that causes her jaw to dramatically grow over time. She was diagnosed with this disease when she was just 4 years old and has lived with all the challenges brought forward by this condition. The results of this disorder, besides the obvious visual deformity, are increased pressure on her eyes. Imagine, growing up with this disorder made things pretty difficult for Victoria. She was constantly teased and abused. People called her names such as Buzz Lightyear. Despite the bullying, Victoria keeps a positive attitude. She avoided cosmetic surgery to make herself look more normal because she doesn't think you should have surgery to make others like you. Number 3, Claudio Vieira de Oliveira. It's hard to imagine not being able to move your head or limbs, let alone seeing the world upside down because of how your head is positioned. That's a reality for Claudio Vieira de Oliveira from Brazil. When he was born, the doctor gave his mother what has to be the worst medical advice ever. They advised her to simply just let him pass away by starving him intentionally. Yep, you heard that correctly. You see, Claudio was born with arthrogryposis, meaning that his limbs were fused together and his head was positioned upside down and facing backward. It's hard to imagine someone living like that, I know. Luckily, Claudia's mother didn't take the doctor's advice, and she raised the boy despite his bizarre condition. As the boy grew, he realized he could write, type, and even operate a phone with his mouth. At the age of 40, Claudio is quite independent. He undertakes work doing research, accounting, and occasional motivational speeches at special events. He's even written a book about his life titled "The World is the Wrong Way Around." Number 4, Carlos Haffy Rodriguez. The nickname Haffy isn't hard to understand once you get a look at Carlos Haffy Rodriguez. I mean, the man is missing the top half of his head. He became internet famous when his mugshot went viral in 2010. As you can imagine, it wasn't that crime that made him famous, but rather his bizarre appearance. It was the result of the injury he suffered during a car accident when he was just 14 years old. The young Carlos was driving, get this, while on drugs when he hit a pole. His head, however, retained the flattened appearance, causing many people to believe that his mugshot was photoshopped. Now, Carlos uses his deformity as a means to try to help others avoid drugs. Seriously, next time you think about driving while on drugs, just remember this dude's head. Mandy Sellers. This Englishwoman of Accrington, Lancashire, has a rare genetic disorder that causes her legs to reach a morbid and extraordinary size, which prevents her from even walking. The rest of her body, however, is quite the normal size. A few years ago, the growth of her legs led to a rather nasty infection, and her left leg had to be amputated. Now this is where it gets interesting. Sometime after the amputation, her left leg miraculously started to regrow at a rapid rate. And 2 years after the amputation, the leg had grown to 1 meter in girth and was nearly too large for her prosthetic limb. Soon after that, Mandy started taking pioneering medications that have seen her legs shrink down to around 150 pounds. Mandy Sellers continues to have clothes and shoes specially made because of her size and drives a specially adapted car.